to fulfill your soul's desire. Now I want you to meet someone very near and dear to my heart, Vera. My sweet sister is a woman who put everything on the line to fulfill her soul's desire. Not once, not twice, but many, many times. In her own words, Vera would say that I am blessed beyond measure. She is a woman who is at the divine union of her passion and her calling. Now, this is just one of the many stories she has shared with me over the years. At this particular time, she was in the early years of homeschooling her daughter and launching her private practice as a craniosacral therapist. The seeds that she had sown in her daily acts of service, expressed through gratitude, faith, love, and the other sacred promises, are now providing a harvest of blessings for Vera, her daughter, as well as her family, clients, community, and the world beyond. Now, when she started her private practice, Vera's personal vision was to begin as a solo practitioner, and then, over the next few years, build a wellness community, an ensemble of like-hearted practitioners. She said, I want to work with other therapists, as well as doctors, neurosurgeons, nutritionists, and other professionals who care deeply about health and well-being, and who really understand that we are designed by God's grace to move toward wholeness, to move toward health. It'll take a few years, but that's how I see myself. Now, when I spoke with Vera to hear about what was happening on her journey, I greeted her with, Habari Gani, hey, what's the news? As usual, she was beaming with joy. This past year has been amazing. It's been a steady stream of miracles, one right after the other. This time last year, I was dreaming of building a wellness community. Well, today I'm doing it. It's all happening so fast. Now, don't get me wrong, it didn't happen overnight, right? And I believe it wouldn't have happened at all if I hadn't been intentional and 100% committed to my calling and life path. Gloria, I have learned the power of gratitude big time, and the power of faith, love, vision, and all the other promises. I continue to write my client thank you notes and notes of gratitude. My clients are now referring family members and friends. I'm treating people of all ages. You know what? This time last year, I was praying about how to find clients. Now, most days, I'm fully booked. Now, Vera also told me about the difficult decision she made to move her office to a different location. She decided to make the move to better accommodate the needs of her clients and to support her vision of building a wellness community. A few months before my lease was up, I just knew I had to move to a new location. I'm not sure exactly how or even when I knew. It was kind of like when I knew I had to leave my engineering job and open my practice and homeschool my daughter. Well, when the building owner approached me about my current lease, I thought, what do I say? That I know I have to leave? I knew I needed to be honest with him, so I told him about my vision for expanding my practice and creating a wellness community. He said, no problem. Come see my other building. I want to keep you as a tenant. You know me. I jumped for joy and saying, bonus! Now, when I saw the offices on the first level, I thought, very nice. The top-of-the-world offices on the second level were magnificent, but they just didn't feel right. But when I saw the office space at the basement level, I knew for an absolute fact that it was the space God intended for us to have. He planned on it long before I arrived. There are a series of offices with a central space for reception. Now, the offices used to be a counseling facility, so there's extra insulation in the walls for privacy. And there's a bathroom right next to my daughter's homeschool room. It's private, so I don't have to worry about her safety. Hey, better location, plenty of free parking, and there are plenty of rooms for expansion and growth. Space for my wellness community practitioners. It's perfect. And the building owner is holding the unoccupied offices for me rent-free until they fill. Well, things took off from there, so I know it's God. It's divine. Vera then told me about another waterfall of unexpected blessings. The carpenter who custom-built the office and homeschool bookshelves for her old office disassembled and then reconfigured them for her new space for free. Then an acquaintance offered Vera all the interior paint she needed for $25, and a group of the carpenter's friends painted her entire suite of offices in exchange for Vera's donation to a needy charity. Now here's the part of Vera's story that allows us to see why she's so enthusiastic about and grateful that she responded to her calling to become a craniosacral healer. A 5-year-old boy named Lucas, not his real name, of course, came to my office this week for treatment. He has a feeding tube because he won't eat. His speech and social skills are at a level below what they should be for his age. I think he has experienced some deep trauma, perhaps abuse, and most likely some kind of psychological damage. His grandmother brought Lucas to my office. After talking with her about some of his challenges, including his unwillingness to be touched by anyone, I just said flat out, I'm expecting a God-sized miracle. Now, so that I could treat him, I asked Lucas if he would be okay if I touched him. Now, he immediately backed away from me and said, "Oh, no, time to go home. I told him I didn't need to touch him, and he seemed to calm down a little. I had brought in a toy train and Lincoln logs for him to play with, so we both just sat on the floor and played with the toys. But even as we played with the toys, Lucas always made sure he was close to the door. Finally, I just laid back on the floor. And guess what? He came right over to me. He snuggled with me. He let me touch him, which led to my being able to treat him. Gloria, it was probably the most significant treatment I've ever done. The treatment was so calming that Lucas was sleepy at the end. But when he stood up, he started dancing. Wow, it was incredible. Now, in addition to the children I work with, I also like to treat the mothers or other care providers so they can do some of this work outside the office with their own children or grandchildren. Well, guess what? Lucas's grandmother is coming for her first treatment on Monday. I just love that story. And you know what? Vera's miracles keep flowing from the deep wellspring of her saying yes to God's legacy, God's plan for her. For Vera, wearing her soul on the outside is as natural as breathing, for she's simply robed in that garment. Gloria, you know what makes all of this so worthwhile is the difference I see in my own daughter. A little over a year ago, I overheard her playing with her Barbie dolls, right? And in one of her imaginary conversations, Barbie said to one of her girlfriend dolls, "I'm busy. I can't go out tonight. I got to take a conference call." Mercy, that just grabbed me by the heartstrings. These days, between every client, Vera and her daughter, my niece, are together. They're either engaged in homeschooling adventures or just hanging out together. Vera says, we always have lunch together. Sometimes we take a field trip as part of our lunch. We sing, we tell stories. And by helping my daughter with her language lessons, I'm learning what she's learning. Hey, I'm in seventh heaven. And my daughter, well, she couldn't be happier. Vera just recently shared that her daughter wrote a research report for her lesson on international culture. And in her report, she described a wonderful creativity school in Italy. Italy. Their school motto is nothing without joy. And then her daughter said, "Hey, Mom, that sounds like a great motto for our school, too." Now, I began Vera's story with these lines from my poem, Song to Myself. Listen, it doesn't matter to me what you do or where you work. I want to know who you are when the sun goes down, and if you are willing to put everything on the line to fulfill your soul's desire. Who we are when the sun goes down makes all the difference, doesn't it? It's who we are when nobody is looking that really counts. Because you know what? If we can be true to ourselves and do what's right when we're alone, when nobody's looking or keeping score, we can be that very same person when we're in the company of others. Well, I certainly hope this story about Vera and her adventures has inspired you. I'm going to share my entire poem with you now so that you can hear how Vera's story fits in within the overall context of it. Now, if you listened to my show before, that I coach and consult with leaders all the time, and I also speak about leadership. I specifically focus on values-based leadership. And my clients love it because very few other leadership coaches and consultants do that, right? And they often want to hear more about my life. They want me to share more of my story with them, and I do. And I also share this poem with them because my story lives and breathes inside of this poem. I simply tell them, if you really want to know more about me, hey, just read or listen to this poem. Let me share it with you. Song to Myself. It doesn't matter to me what you do or where you work. I want to know who you are when the sun goes down. And if you are willing to put everything on the line to fulfill your soul's desire. It doesn't matter to me how much bread you can afford to put on your own table. I want to know if you will knead and wait and bake the bread and share your blessings at someone else's table. I want to know if you can look into the eyes of the young woman who sleeps with fear each night, the one who dared to walk away from the hands that pummeled her. I want to know if you can share her pain. It doesn't matter to me what neighborhood you live in or what kind of car you drive. I want to know what drives you, what compels you to follow your soul's longing. I want to know what pierces your heart, awakens you at night, and inspires you to devote yourself to whomever or whatever moves you. I want to know how many times you've opened your heart and extended a hand to your homeless sister or brother. I want to know if you will sit and the quiet, dark hours between midnight and dawn